Hello and welcome to the Sacred Gates. My name is Illura, and today's podcast is on the basics. So the foundational basic practices that you generally learn first when you're learning an art, whether it's a martial art, an internal art, or any kind of healing art, even artistry such as creative art, such as fine art. We always start at the basics. Now, quite often we can think, this is just the basics. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to get to the real stuff. But the basics are actually the real fundamental. There's a reason why they start with this. It's the building block and the foundation. So just like with a house, if a house is looking beautiful on the outside, but you come in and you realize the floor's sinking and there's like the floor's falling away, or the floorboards haven't been built properly, or there's termites eating away at the base of the house, or whatever it might be, we naturally, instinctively, we know that that's really chronic. It's a really bad thing. This is not an ideal situation. We need to get onto that now. It's the same with our art. When we don't go through and stabilize the basics and the foundations, we run into problems later on, just like with a house, and so, or like with a relationship also. And so the basics often can be overlooked in this fast-paced world, and the basics are often the very, very core principles. So there's a simplicity to them which can kind of cause people to sometimes overlook them or to underestimate them, undermine them. And it really is the core of the practice and the art that you're doing. And it's the basics that bring you to the essence, the very essence. And when you are lost in emotion and suffering and going through a really bad season, if you're a practitioner, coming back to the basics is extremely nourishing, and it also fortifying, and it helps you to solidify. And it's the basics that help us build trust. So when we start an art, if we're a raw beginner, we really are looking to develop as much experience, quality experience as possible, so that we can get the underpinning and really kind of feel like we've got something going there with this art, with ourself, with our narratives. We've got something that we can hold on to, and we need the basics for that. And so often if we're having a hard time in life, we come back to the basics. We go back. It's a little bit like with children when they are going through a rough time. Sometimes they'll regress to an earlier stage of development, and there's a lot of other things that are going on with that, but it's just to show you that we go back to things that previously we learned that had substance and had stability and had something that help us to regain perspective back at that beginning point, and those fundamental principles that spiral all the way through your journey with your art in various ways, always staying true to the core principles and practices and meaning and essence, essentially the essence of the art. So never underestimate the very basic fundamental things you may have learned at the beginning of your journey with your art, because they really do underpin, and so they support you too. Just like the earth, the actual roots of a tree, they dig into the earth and they become one with the earth, and the tree is able to grow from that holding that place, that fundamental root system. So always remember the power of the basics and not to underestimate them or undermine them. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye now.